in a van with, there's a number of people in it, but where I'm sitting, Royce Gracie is right next to me. I'm in the front of the van. What'd you call it, shotgun? I'm in shotgun of the van, but Royce is in the first seat right behind me, so it's very natural to just turn and kind of be able to face him. And I've known Royce for a period of time. But to sit and grill Royce, to sit and ask Royce 20 questions about things that I've been wondering since 1993 when I was a junior in high school and watching him go through tournaments and be crowned champion when this whole sport is getting off the ground, I've just never had that opportunity. So I turn around and I say, hey, Royce, I got a couple of questions for you. He puts his phone down and he says, what's up? And I go, all right, a number of years ago, you got in a dust-up at Metamoris with Eddie Bravo. What was that all about? And he goes, man, it had nothing to do with what you think and everybody else thinks. He said, people think I have a problem with Eddie because he came to jiu-jitsu and created a rubber guard, or because he renamed moves, or because he did so well in business. He said, it's none of those things. He said, I didn't like some of the images that Eddie was portraying towards the community of jiu-jitsu and was spilling over to me. Eddie was doing such a good job. Royce paid him his compliments. He said he was doing such a good job with marketing. You know, Eddie was in a band Eddie did a great job with marketing. He was in a band for a while. He was doing all sorts of stuff to get 10th Planet off the ground. By the way, he succeeded. Royce goes, man, good for him. I got no problem. He loves jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu, but I don't love some of the stereotypes that he, on accident or on purpose, was perpetuating and was getting brushed off on me. I didn't like it. I've been looking for Eddie for 5 years. I should give you guys this part of the story if I'm hitting you from left field and you don't know what happened. Eddie competed with Royler that night at Metamoris. So when Royce came into the back and started giving Eddie a hard time, everybody assumed it had to do something within that match against Royler. And Royce goes, no, it had nothing. I've been looking for Eddie Bravo for 5 years. I just hadn't seen him. And he said, you know, Eddie doesn't like the gi. I do. Eddie made a comment that he cleans his mat with a gi. And Royce said, that bothered me. And I've been looking for him for just the first time that I saw him. He said it was nothing more than that. That's all that's happened. But he said that Jean-Jacques Machado stepped in, and Jean-Jacques is Eddie's mentor. Jean-Jacques steps in and grabs Royce and says, calm down. And Royce said, Jean, don't you touch me. You go grab him. You keep him away from me. I won't get any closer. All I came here to do is to tell him my piece. That's it. If he wants to do something else, I'm open to but that's not what I'm here to do. To get your hands off me. He said, and Royce said, I've never talked to Jean-Jacques again. Never talked to him since. And this kind of surprised me, like that Royce Gracie would have a grudge or something like this, because he's such a calm guy, and everywhere Royce goes, I've never heard him use profanity. He's always got his children with him. I mean, everywhere he goes, he's got his kids. We're out here in Hawaii, he's got 2 kids with him right now. Oh, and by the way, his niece Victoria is on her way out. I mean, he just doesn't seem... Royce said, Chael, let me make something very clear to you. We Gracies, we are not civilized. We only pretend to be. Oh, really? He said, oh, yes. Don't make any mistake. We have learned how to blend into society. He was not kidding. This is very funny. He was serious, though. He was sharing something with me. So we have learned. Our father taught us to learn to blend into society, even though we shouldn't. He said, you know, a Gracie, it's very easy to kill us. Because all you have to do is tell us that you challenge us to do something. You challenge me right now to jump out of an airplane without a parachute, I will go and do it. So, okay. He said, and so Royce tells me this other story. And it was about Ryan Gracie. You guys might remember Ryan from his Pride days. And Ryan, so Royce said that they're sitting at the Tokyo Hilton. That's where Pride always put the fighters. And you're all the Gracies on one side, sitting down. And they're all kind of some smaller guys, but he says there's about 10 of us. And you have the Brazilian top team in the same eating area, and they're all sitting together. There's some bigger guys. And apparently the Gracies and the top team, I don't remember that time period. Apparently the Gracies and the top team did not like each other or get along, but nobody says anything. They're all just sitting there. They don't look at each other. You don't exist. We don't exist. Enjoy your breakfast. We'll see you at the fight. So Ryan Gracie comes walking in and doesn't say hi to any of the Gracies, just walks right past them, walks straight up to the top team, says hello to each one, shakes each one's hand, gets to the last guy. When he gets to the last guy started to stand up, boom. Ryan sucker punches him and breaks his nose. So Royce and everybody jumps up and runs over. And as the top team's starting to get up thinking a brawl's going to break out, Royce goes, no, you guys stay seated. You don't need to get up. We saw what happened. We will deal with him. We're well aware who's wrong here, and I promise you, you guys stay seated. We have this under control. So Royce grabs Ryan. They take him out and go, Ryan, what the hell are you doing? What is the matter? We saw that whole thing. You sucker punched that guy. And Ryan goes, no. He's talking trash about our family. And Royce said, yeah, Ryan, I arrived at the airport with him last night at 11 o'clock. It's now 7 a.m. Where would have he had time to talk about the family? And Ryan goes, oh, no, Royce, this was 5 years ago. And Royce goes, what? He goes, you're giving the guy a receipt for something he did 5 years ago? And Ryan goes, no, it was a little longer than 6 or 7 years ago, but he said it. I remember when he said it. I've been waiting. And Royce was telling me a story. Royce wasn't pretending that Ryan was right. He was just telling me a story. Man, this is how the family works. And if you think we're civilized, just know we're keeping track. So I said, all right, Royce, let me ask you a question. Rickson Gracie, Royce's older brother, most feared and respected jiu-jitsu player of all time. If you were to ask, fella, who is the most respected? It's Rickson Gracie. I said, Royce, your brother Rickson, in his prime, versus Gordon Ryan right now, Abu Dhabi rules, who wins? Now, I expected this to be a typical Gracie walk the line, Rickson wins, the end, how dare you ask? That's what I was expecting, but I asked the question anyway, and that's not the answer I got. Royce took about 5 minutes to answer the question, and in those 5 minutes where his data and analysis was coming from was the part that I threw in, which is Abu Dhabi rules. Well, Royce knows the Abu Dhabi rules very well. So he was breaking it down under those rules. And he said, I don't think that Rickson is likely to submit Gordon. Of the two, Gordon would be more likely, but I don't think that Gordon can submit Rickson. I'll just acknowledge that he would be more likely. And under Abu Dhabi rules, they do favor position, they favor takedowns, and Rickson was an incredible wrestler, an incredible sambo player, and I'm very confident he would get on top and he would stay there. Whatever happened from there, whatever messes and passing of the guard and scrambles, but he said, I'm just confident my brother could be on top. And at the end of the time period, I believe he would beat Gordon Ryan. But he was very open to acknowledge the skills of Gordon. So I said, okay. I said, Rickson versus Andre Galvao. And Royce gave me about another 5 minutes. And ultimately, he settled with Rickson, but he kind of reversed it. He said, I think that Rickson is more likely to submit Andre, but I don't know that he would. I don't think that Andre would submit Rickson, but Andre would be good with positions. I just think that Rickson could have better positions. Under Abu Dhabi rules, I'm going with Rickson. Okay, great. Last question. Andre Galvao versus Gordon Ryan. Who wins that? And Royce said, well, under Abu Dhabi rules, and he said the same thing. He said, Gordon has many ways to submit Galvao, but I think that he would have to submit him. He said, I don't think that Andre could submit Gordon. Andre would likely have position, but Gordon's very tricky with some of the leg stuff and some of the nuances. So Royce was very cool about knowing the current guys, about factoring in the older guys, in this case his brother, who he has tremendous amount of respect for. But he was also, I was very impressed that he kept up on a lot of this stuff. I've met other athletes in other sports, some big-name football players, some big-name basketball players, that no longer follow their sport. When their time in the sport ended, it was hard to walk away. And the only way to walk away was to walk away completely. Not watch, not be a fan, and not tip your hat to the next generations. Act as though the sport died when your career died. That's a very real thing. For whatever reason, but that is a very real thing, and I've encountered it a number of times. I was impressed with how Royce did not do that. I was impressed that Royce understood and watched a lot of the new guys and a lot of the new talents and had opinions on it that he was open to share, didn't just toe the family line. As would have been done in his youth. When he was 28, 29, 30, it would have been family, company line, the end of it. No, he was very open. He was very open to discuss and debate. So I see Royce today, and I realize, I'm going to go do a podcast. I enjoyed these moments I had talking to Royce. I enjoyed some of the insight he gave, but I can't just come give it to you guys. That was a private conversation. So I go, hey, Royce, by the way, everything we talked about yesterday, how much of that is fair game for me to repeat in public? And he goes, what did we talk about? I said, well, I was asking about Hickson and how we would do a Summit Today, guys. And I said, I asked you the Eddie Bravo story, and, John Jacques got mentioned. And he goes, you say it all. I don't care. You say it all. Anything I tell you, you can repeat. So, okay, I will. And for you guys, I just did.